All right, today we are dropping into a battlefield like no other, one where the gridiron literally meets the battle bus. We're breaking down the NFL Race to the End Zone, a totally wild Fortnite tournament that put professional football players up against some of the biggest names in gaming. So how did this whole thing actually play out? Let's get into it. You know, the energy coming into this thing was just electric. The competitors, they weren't just here to play around. They were here to win. The trash talk was already flying way before anyone even dropped from the bus, and you just knew this was going to be a serious showdown. And the rivalries were absolutely front and center, especially among the pros. I mean, top-tier gamer Courage JD did not hold back, calling out his friend and rival Cypher PK right from the jump. This turned the whole tournament into a personal battle, with major bragging rights on the line. The tension was real. Okay, so here's how we're gonna break down all this chaos. First, we'll set the stage. Then, we'll dive into that initial clash between the pros and the athletes. After that, things get crazy with the Boogie Bomb Menace. We'll see how it all went down to the wire. And finally, we'll crown a champion. Now, this was not your average game of Fortnite, not by a long shot. The event actually took place on a custom-built map called the Verizon Stadium, designed just for this tournament. It was kind of like the ultimate neutral ground where these two very different worlds of competitors had to adapt and prove who was best. And this pretty much says it all, right? It perfectly captures the massive gap in preparation. On one side, you've got pros like Cypher PK, who are feeling all this pressure to win. And on the other side, you have NFL players who, let's just say, had a slightly more relaxed training schedule. So how did this actually look once the game started? Well, pretty much as soon as the competition began, a really clear divide started to form, basically splitting the lobby into two completely different tiers of players. Yeah, no surprise here, the professional gamers immediately shot to the top of the leaderboard. Cypher PK and Courage JD were just on an absolute tear, racking up eliminations left and right. The casters said they were absolutely decimating the lobby. It was really looking like a two-horse race right from the start. But while the pros were battling it out for dominance, there was a whole different kind of victory happening somewhere else in the lobby. This quote is just brilliant. It captures the pure, unfiltered joy of the less experienced players, who were just thrilled to get even one single elimination. It's such a hilarious and relatable contrast. You gotta love it. And just when it looked like we all knew how this thing was gonna end, somebody decided to just throw the entire script right out the window. A new kind of chaotic strategy emerged from nowhere, and it was about to change the entire tournament. The pros were dominating, the athletes were just having a good time, and then things started to get weird. Like, really, really weird. So, for anyone who doesn't know, this right here is a Boogie Bomb. It's an item you can throw in the game, but it doesn't do any damage. Instead, it forces anyone caught in the blast to just stop. Stop fighting, stop building, and just dance. You are completely and totally helpless. And one player started using them a lot. As the casters put it, someone was being an absolute menace to society. The top players, the ones trying to win, suddenly found themselves just dancing out in the open, unable to do anything. They were being taken out of the fight without a single shot ever being fired. So who was this agent of chaos? It was a player named Joe Parlow. And honestly, it was a brilliant tactical move. His thinking was basically, if you can't outgun the pros, well, make them dance. And just like that, he single-handedly turned the entire tournament on its head. This strategy completely reset the whole competition. With the best players stuck in a never-ending dance-off, the final rounds just became an absolute free-for-all. Suddenly, it was anyone's game. You know, this is such a fascinating look at how competitive gaming works. The meta, which is just the best way to win, was completely shattered. It just goes to show you that sometimes a totally disruptive, off-the-wall strategy can be the great equalizer, forcing even the best players in the world to scramble. All this chaos created a massive opportunity for other players. With the frontrunners stuck dancing, guys like Symphony and Mr. Satnap totally seized the moment. Symphony had this incredible 11 elimination game that just threw the leaderboard into chaos. The race to the top was suddenly wide open. But after all the dancing, all the chaos, and all those last-minute pushes for the top, the tournament had to have a winner. The dust finally settled, and it was time to crown the first ever champion of the NFL Race to the End Zone. So the big question was still out there. Did the Boogie Bomb menace lead to some kind of surprise underdog victory? Or did pure, raw skill somehow find a way to conquer all that pandemonium? And the winner is Cypher PK. That's right, despite being the main target of pretty much every Boogie Bomb, the pro gamer proved that skill, and maybe a little bit of luck, can overcome even the most chaotic situations. He adapted, he survived, and in the end, he conquered. And with that victory came a very nice prize, $10,000 in cash. And you've got to hear his immediate reaction. Thanks to the Verizon victory call, he got to phone his friend Riley literally seconds after winning to share the news. He just goes, "I won first place, the 10 grand, and the chain is on my neck right now." And he was not kidding about that chain. See, the ultimate prize wasn't just the money. It was this incredible, one-of-a-kind trophy custom-made just for the champion of this event. Cypher himself said it was one of the coolest prizes he's ever won in a tournament. Now, for a pro who has seen plenty of trophies and cash prizes, that really says a lot about how special this whole crossover event was. What an event! It was this unforgettable mix of pro-level skill and just pure, unscripted chaos. And it leaves all of us with one burning question. If they were to do this all over again, who would you want to see drop into that arena for a rematch?